Hello and welcome to a buildingSMART webinar. Thank you for joining. My name is Ra Twilly and I will be your moderator today. Today's webinar is titled Accelerating the Virtual Reality Workflow through openBIM with Vrex and BricsCAD. The presenters are Ruben Decuypere, Product Owner for BricsCAD BIM, Rune Vandli, Founder and Product Officer at Vrex, and Keyack, Senior Implementation Consultant at Vrex. The webinar is scheduled to last 45 minutes with a short Q&A at the end. I'd like to remind you that your phone lines will remain muted for the duration of this webinar. If you have any questions or wish to make comments, please use the chat function located within the control panel and we will answer them at the end. Before we hand over to our speakers, I'd like to remind you that buildingSMART is committed to ensuring that participation in the development of standards is unrestricted, and the process for their adoption is transparent, and standards that are developed do not favor any particular provider and are open, non-binding, and accessible to all. Members may not use buildingSMART's meetings or other activities as a forum for discussing or agreeing any matters that would breach competition laws. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. Now I'd like to hand over to Ruben, who will begin with his presentation.
Thank you, Ra, and thank you, buildingSMART, for this opportunity to give everyone a quick overview of BricsCAD BIM and how it uses openBIM to integrate with Vrex. Let me first introduce you to BricsCAD. BricsCAD is a global technology company that makes the BricsCAD family of CAD products for building design, construction, and manufacturing, and a 24/7 collaboration platform. BricsCAD is headquartered in Ghent, Belgium, but employs over 300 people around the world. BricsCAD is now part of Hexagon, a global leader in digital reality solutions, combining sensors, software, and autonomous technologies. BricsCAD and Hexagon together are aiming to transform vital ecosystems in the buildings, industrial facilities, infrastructure, and manufacturing industries. Now, to really understand who we are, I often find it useful to relate to the main issues that I often hear AEC professionals complain about. So I often hear them complain about legacy software vendors offering less and less innovation in their products despite the ever-rising license costs. BricsCAD is a really customer-focused company with a young and innovative spirit, and with BricsCAD, we offer a family of CAD products that increases productivity every year with new innovations that we add. And still we offer our products at accessible prices, as we want to democratize innovation to everyone who needs it. The adoption of BIM still remains quite low because many companies are still afraid to make the switch to traditional BIM software. They can't risk losing productivity during a long, painful transition. Now I will go into more detail on this, but BricsCAD addresses this issue by offering one family of products that are based on the same core DWG technology. So we have BricsCAD Lite for 2D drafting, BricsCAD Pro for 2D and 3D modeling, and then we have BricsCAD BIM for more advanced BIM workflows. But so all these three products, you can use them together or upgrade from one to another seamlessly. But I will go into more detail later on. And finally, projects are still too often delivered late and over budget. Now, for managing construction projects, we offer BricsCAD 24/7, which is a cloud-based collaboration and document management platform. But furthermore, we make it very easy to integrate with other applications. And I will go into more detail later on, but we have this very strong focus on openBIM, and as we will show today, this allows to easily integrate it, for example, virtual reality collaboration, platforms like Vrex. Now, at Bricsys, you have quite a different approach to BIM compared to traditional BIM vendors. Now, let me explain that a bit more. So, moving from CAD to a traditional BIM software is quite a disruptive process. So, BIM is a very different system than CAD, so it requires a full 100% conversion. So, all CAD licenses will have to be abandoned, but also all CAD data like template files and so on, built up by the users over many years, will all be lost. So they all have to be recreated manually in the BIM environment. And since BIM, like these traditional BIM software are very different from 2D CAD, so it takes often like 6 to 12 months to truly master it. So in the meantime, they lose productivity in the first 6 months, and while everyone is trying to make the transition. And we often see that companies then quit in an early stage, but then all investment costs are lost, and then they fall back to CAD. And that's quite a shame, because as we will show later on in our demo together with Vrex, BIM workflows can really help to detect problems early in the design phase and avoid problems later on during the construction phase. But then we have to offer those companies an easier transition to BIM so that they can do it at their own pace and without losing productivity during this transition. And that's what we do with BricsCAD. So in our BricsCAD portfolio, 2D, 3D, and BIM are in the same CAD system and can be used together. So you can reuse all your CAD data and avoid this drop in productivity. And companies can then gradually make the transition from 2D to 3D and BIM and more advanced workflows based on that, so at their own pace. So you get more productivity step by step without having this disruption to your productivity. Now, a full overview of what BricsCAD BIM is capable of would, of course, take us way too far. So I would like to focus on how we approach design, coordination, and openBIM. Now, openBIM and vendor-neutral collaboration have been at the center of the BricsCAD philosophy from the very beginning. So Bricsys, as you might know, is a founding member of ODA, which is the Open Design Alliance, which has enabled the use of this industry standard DWG file format across different authoring tools. But on top of that, we also offer IFC import export, we offer RVT import, RFA import, we also natively support BCF. And we have implemented openBIM quite differently than many other tools. So here are openBIM design principles that we've used while implementing openBIM. So first of all, we align our design workflow to the openBIM principles from the very start. So for us, IFC is more than just this export that you do at the end. Our internal data and classification structure is fully aligned to the IFC structure from the very beginning when you start modeling in BricsCAD BIM. Some still see IFC as this static format for archiving or referencing projects, but we see IFC really as a building model exchange standard. So you should be able to work with IFC models the way you work with natively created models. We automate as much as possible, so openBIM should not be a hassle. And with our AI machine learning tools, you can automatically classify your building elements according to the IFC classification structure. And finally, so we offer natively this BCF support. So we have a built-in BCF panel. So our whole internal classification is fully based on the IFC classification. So when classifying an entity while modeling, it is already according to the IFC specification, and also all of the properties of IFC and the quantities are already there available during the whole design process. So you don't need to worry about mapping or anything. So what you see in BricsCAD is what you get in IFC. So again, like IFC is still often used just as a reference or for coordination, like an architecture model that is used as a reference for an MEP model or for class detection and so on. But we want to make it possible to use IFC for design transfer as well. And we make that possible with our IFC import. So when importing an IFC model, all elements are imported as native BricsCAD BIM entities, which has, of course, many advantages. So you can just continue designing, adding data, using all the automation tools that are available in BricsCAD BIM, generate construction documentation, and so on. BCF, as most of you know, has the openBIM format for exchanging issues and communicating with other project team members. Now we offer BCF support built in, so we have a BCF panel inside BricsCAD BIM, in which you can read BCF files, but also directly connect with the API to cloud BCF services like BIMsync, BIMtrack, BIMcollab, without needing to install any plugins for these specific platforms. Now, our focus on openBIM is paying off, and today you will clearly see that in the demo later on, where we showed the integration with Vrex. The whole workflow is fully based on openBIM, so we use IFC and BCF standards to integrate with the Vrex Virtual Reality platform. So the model that was created in BricsCAD BIM just gets exported easily to IFC and imported in Vrex. And then in Vrex, you can create BCF issues and either transfer them to BricsCAD as a BCF file and open them in the BCF panel. Or you can use the BCF API and connect to one of the BCF services like BIMtrack, BIMcollab, and so on. So here you really see that investing in this openBIM support pays off to easily integrate with a tool like Vrex. Okay, I will now pass over to Rune and Chris from Vrex.
First, we want to thank buildingSMART for hosting this event. And we also want to thank the BricsCAD and BricsCAD team and thank everyone for being with us here today. Before we head over to VR, we want to give you a bit of background information about Vrex. Vrex is used throughout the world and is supported in multiple languages. Our headquarters is in Norway, and we have partners throughout the world to support our customers. Our customers range from building owners, designers, consulting teams, as well as contractors. Vrex is used on projects of all sizes and all types. This includes commercial, government, and industrial sectors of the construction industry. Our core mission at Vrex is to allow all project stakeholders to step into the 3D model. Everyone can experience BIM together, live, and at the same time. They can do this either in VR or by watching on our desktop viewer on their computers. Vrex enables you to resolve complex issues as a team and prevent costly rework downstream. Using the IFC and BCF or BIM collaboration formats, buildingSMART and openBIM has enabled Vrex and BricsCAD to seamlessly exchange models and issues together. In addition to BIM, laser scanning and reviewing point clouds for as-built conditions is becoming common practice on projects. Vrex allows stakeholders that can't go out to the job site to overlay and visualize point cloud scans together with BIM in a life-size environment. Alright, so now Rune and I are going to go ahead and put on our VR headsets and we'll do a live demonstration of Vrex. Now, we're going to be reviewing the project at the same time, but Rune is going to be in Norway and I am in the United States. All right, so Rune, we're both here in VR. Would you mind coming over onto this side And basically what I'm going to do is I want to show you something here related to this cantilever. So see this, basically this side of the building is cantilevering over with no underlying support. So I want to take a look at the structural for this. Yep, exactly, that spot right there. So I'm going to turn off the architectural. And now we're looking at the structural, and I can actually see that there's a truss system here that the engineer has done. And so what I need to do is, let me go to red lines. We just need to basically talk with the engineer and then the construction team about how they're going to actually fabricate and splice those trusses. And I feel like we're going to need to do construction essentially in this direction here, so that way we have a lot of the back span structural steel basically in place. And then we just need to figure out where essentially are the trusses going to be spliced, and then if, you know, where we're going to have our cranes. Do you know, we'll need to kind of talk about and see what sort of space there is on site for crawler cranes versus tower cranes. And then we'll just need to kind of evaluate, you know, sort of the pick for the cranes, and just see if we need 2 cranes to lift the truss pieces or not. And then basically look at how that core is going to be done in the middle there. So let me take a picture. And then I'll schedule a meeting with the construction team so we can kind of take a look at this and talk about this a little bit further. And then I'll go ahead and let's just clear out the red lines. Turn the model back on. I'm going to go ahead and go into one-on-one mode here, or full life-size mode. Yep, I see you there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain building sections using clipping. And so what's great about this is if I just click on a surface here on the building, and then I'm going to just go ahead and navigate forward so we can get a little bit closer. But essentially, if I hold down the trigger and just kind of move this clipping plane, here I basically have a 3D building section of my project. And you know, you'll see on architectural drawings oftentimes, you know, building sections cut at different locations to try to give you a map of the interior of the building. And here in VR, this is just accentuated to another level. I can really see essentially how each of the building systems work from floor to floor, especially if I had the MEP in here and looking at MEP shafts and basically where things transfer from floor to floor. I can see the consistency and layout from one area to another. I can see how the structural fits in the ceiling space. So really it just takes building sections to another level. I'm going to go ahead and remove the clipping plane. And then what we can also do is we'll go to basically floor plans here. And this is another way for us to navigate. So you can see where Rune and I are here with our icons in the site plan, and we can just go floor to floor. Let's say here on floor number 3, I'll just click us into the building. Okay, so now we're teleported here onto the 3rd floor, and we're life size. And essentially I can get a full feel and experience the model. And I can actually just walk over here. And first thing I just want to take a look at is how this structural is basically lined up with the architectural space. This feels a bit tight to me, and like when I'm looking at this from a headroom clearance and safety point of view, just want to make sure the architect and the owner are good with this. I'm going to go ahead and walk through here. So Rune, does this look, you know, a bit tight right here? Do I look tight in this space when I'm walking through it?
Yeah, it looks like you're walking through a slightly narrow door.
Okay. Would you mind taking a measurement of that real quick? And then let's just... Okay, so I mean, it's a little bit under a meter there, you know, from the clear face on the wall. I just want to go ahead and talk with the owner and the architect. We'll get on a session with them and just kind of review this, and maybe we'll make an issue out of this later to verify. This is a really good example on this level here. Just kind of walking over to the middle of the space so I can get a feel for it. This level is a bit unique because we've got these truss sort of web members or bracing members. And I'm just looking at how this affects, yeah, exactly where you were pointing there, and looking at how that impacts the visibility out the windows. I'm also just looking at sort of the column placement here relative to the window panels. and just making sure that that's all nice and symmetrical between the window manufacturer and the structural, so that way that aesthetically looks good. So it'll probably be good to just bring the architect and the engineer in this space and just make sure that everything from a visibility point of view and safety protocol is all good. Did you, you said you had some issues down in the basement related to MEP that you wanted to show me. Do you mind taking us down there?
Yeah, I'll open that up. Yeah, so I want to go over a couple of issues down here.
Okay.
One of them is the water pipes. Looks like they're trying to turn to avoid the ventilation, but they're turning a bit too early. So I want to make a note of that and bring that back to the modelers. So if you instead go over like this and go up there.
Oh yeah, I can see the clear clash.
Fine.
Yep, okay.
So I'll just take a picture of that. The second issue I want to have a look at is the ventilation in front of the door.
Okay.
So I know that this room will be doubling as a storage room for maintenance, and there's some big equipment going in here. It looks like it's going to be a bit tight getting past that door.
Oh, great.
About almost 2 meters. Then we have the front there.
Yeah, the dimensions really, they basically help us see quickly like that there is a potential, you know, access issue there. I mean, honestly, when we're down here like this, you can see this, of course, you know, looking at the BIM model on your computer screen, and you can have soft clash areas and stuff like that and reservations around equipment. But acting like I'm actually the maintenance person, or, you know, basically putting in all of the equipment and just being able to feel it life size with everything in here, I can just see all sorts of access things, especially from a maintenance point of view. Once facilities actually start operating, this is just really powerful.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just make a red line of this, suggesting to move this slightly back. Make a picture of that.
Great. I think that gives a pretty good overview of sort of what Vrex and Virtual Reality does, and allowing us to, and multiple project stakeholders, to essentially collaborate at the same time. I mean, you're in Norway, I'm in the US, and right now we're live here in what is as close to being the real building as possible. It's pretty amazing. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and show you a live workflow between both BricsCAD and Vrex using openBIM.
Okay, let's dive in and see how this workflow looks. So we start in BricsCAD BIM. Here we have our office building. There are two models in here, the architectural model and the structural model added as an XREF. Okay, we export to IFC, and in this case we will take IFC 2x3, we save, and then we go to Vrex.
The first thing you do is to go to the Vrex admin website, then you choose to upload your models. Then you add the files that you exported from BricsCAD. Once they are uploaded, they are processed and automatically available for a virtual reality meeting. Then you go over to the virtual reality meeting application. You open that up, search for your project, and then you open that project. You type your name, set your audio settings, and then you enter into VR. Here you see me and Chris decided to meet inside a model. We will go to an area where we think there are some problems in the model. So we are walking through the model together until we locate something that is problematic. In this case, it seems like the column and the wall is slightly narrow for walking through it. We decide to make a measurement there to check the width, and it's less than a meter. So Chris decides to make an issue out of this and opens up the issue creation guide. This is made so that anyone should be able to make an issue, even if they don't know what a BCF is. And takes a picture, and then highlights the objects that are related to that issue. Having those objects attached to the issue makes it very easy when you get back into BricsCAD to see which objects are related to that issue. Using the voice to text, he gives the issue a title. Then he adds a description to it. Status and type is fine as it is. And then it saves that. Then that's ready to be taken back into BricsCAD.
So now we are back in BricsCAD BIM. We go to our built-in BCF panel, where we open the BCF file that was sent to us. There is one issue in it, and we can see all its details and the description. And we can click on the screenshot, so it takes us immediately to the exact location in the model where the issue occurs, and shows the relevant entities. And so we see here as well that the distance is too small, so we need to adapt this. We'll start with making these curved interior walls smaller. But of course this issue does not only occur on this lower floor, but also on the floors above. So we let BricsCAD automatically detect the other walls that have an aligned face, so we can apply the change on all floors at once. And then we push-pull to make it smaller. And now we have to move these interior walls to the right. But here again, there are many walls that have the same limited distance to the structural members. So let's search for all aligned walls again and move them all at once. Now by default, when dragging the walls, the connectivity with other walls is not kept, as you can see. But we can toggle the connectivity mode on, and so this way the connection with other walls is kept. So here all connections are kept with the other walls. Now we see that the curved walls are still a bit too big, so we will slice them. Now again, we will do it for all floors at once. And so we select this face of the other interior wall as a slicing pane and remove all the parts that were sliced. And so now if we measure again by simply selecting the entities, we see that now there is enough space, so this issue is resolved. Apart from the workflow with a BCF file, you can also connect to BCF cloud services like BIMtrack, and that from within the same BCF panel. So we log in, and then we see all our projects, and in the project we can see all the issues. Here again, when clicking on the issue, we see all details like due date, description, and so on. And we can easily navigate to the location. And we can indeed see here that the height is too limited to stand. So we'll have to move this wall. But when moving the wall, we can again choose to only move the wall or to also keep the connection with, in this case, the ceiling. We'll move the wall to the next row of columns. And by selecting the floor and ceiling, we immediately see that there is enough head clearance now. So we can add a comment to the issue describing that we made the changes so that this issue can be resolved. We add a screenshot and add the comment to the issue. Now we will switch to another cloud BCF service, BIM Collab. So we simply log in by providing the URL of BIM Collab. And once we are logged in, we can see all projects and the issues in it. We will now resolve an issue related to the structural model. As you can see, the structural model is an external reference in the model. So we open the XREF and we can see that the details are not, though the connections are not very detailed. Now there is an issue requesting us to solve the structural connections with bolts. To do that, we will go to our details library. And we will look for the right connection detail that we could apply. Now, of course, there are many places within the model where this detail could be applied. So we use the propagate functionality to automatically scan the model and search for similar connections. And it finds 8 locations where this detail can be applied. So now on all eight locations this detail is applied. For the connections where the column runs to the ground, we need to apply another detail. But again, we use propagate to find all relevant locations within the model. In this case, there are 6. And so we have now increased the LOD of the model by automatically applying the detailed connections to the model. Okay, that's it for the demo. Back to you, Ra.
Brilliant. Thank you very much to our presenters. Now, if we could move over to the Q&A section, Ruben and Rune could bring their cameras and microphones on. For attendees, if you do have any questions, please use the chat function and we can get to any of your questions. I saw a few raised hands. Just checking if there are any questions to add here. So we've got our first question from Vittorio. It can be possible to save BCF files on local disk. Is that possible?
I can just go for Vrex first. Yes, that's possible for Vrex. You can send either directly to a BCF file, like we did when we sent it through to BricsCAD, or we could save it directly into BIM Collab or BIM Track. You can choose.
Yeah, for BricsCAD BIM in the BCF panel, it's currently not possible to save the BCF file, so we focus mainly on the API connectivity. But that might be something we could add soon.
Brilliant, thank you both. Perhaps I could ask a question on what kind of support you offer for people new to BricsCAD and Vrex, and kind of using the two tools together. Yeah, what support you have for people new to using the software?
So for BricsCAD BIM, we have a quite an elaborate documentation on our website, and we also make a lot of videos explaining all functionality. Might also be worthwhile mentioning that every year in October, we have a summit where we launch the new version of our software. And there as well, we have a lot of breakout sessions where we go into detail on all the new functionality that's in the tool. So that should help new users to get kicked off very easily in our software.
We also have an extensive documentation, but seeing as virtual reality is quite new for a lot of people, we also spend a lot of time on Teams or Zoom to help users get started with VR. So we have a lot of hands-on in the projects as well. More than, I guess, traditional software needs to have.
Sure, no, that sounds really great and really helpful. Another question here. How important is it to follow the latest BSI developments, such as new services and standards like IFC 4.3 for your end users?
Yeah, for us, it's very important. We've always put this openBIM as a very important aspect of BricsCAD BIM. And we also feel that that's something that many of our users are really appreciating. And so that's why we really follow what BSI is doing and try to follow closely the standards that are up to date with it.
Yeah, it's the same for us. And also, even if not everyone is at 4.3 yet, we just need to have support for those that are there. As soon as something is not working, they just switch to something else. So we're trying to stay on top of that.
Brilliant, thank you. Is it possible to load civil projects?
Yeah, for us. So BricsCAD is one platform on which we offer different products, and so BricsCAD BIM is one of them. So it's in the same software, the same environment, and we also have a civil workspace where you can develop and alter civil projects, which you can then also export to IFC.
Yeah, and like you can by using IFC, you can export it to Vrex, and we also support either a plugin through Navisworks, or you can use the seamless JT format, which is quite common from civil and mechanical projects.
Perfect. We've got a few questions, people inquiring about pricing models and what kind of pricing structure you have. Is that something best just to get in contact one-to-one, kind of very dependent on whatever someone's project is?
Yeah, well, for BricsCAD, we offer different pricing possibilities. So we are one of those software vendors that still provide perpetual licenses, and we and we plan to continue doing so. But we of course also have maintenance and subscription programs. So we really leave it to the user to see what fits best in their specific situation, what their needs are. But we keep all these possibilities still open to have, so to have perpetual licenses, subscription, and so on, and also have a network licenses.
Vrex is offered by almost similar to Zoom and Teams subscriptions. So you have a subscription to be able to set up and join virtual reality sessions. So it's a user capacity is our pricing model. We're happy to provide details on that if you want to contact us after the session.
Brilliant, thank you. You mentioned that it's probably a good idea for people who are interested just to get in contact individually with both of you to kind of get a sense of their needs and kind of how you can help. What's the best way to get in contact with both of you?
Getting in touch with us is I think easiest either directly, either via the website Bricsys. You can get easily in touch with us, or with the resellers that are local resellers that could help you out. So it's bricsys.com.
I'll just add my information to the chat.
Perfect, thank you. And we'll hopefully be getting some slides, PDF slides from you both for your presentations to send out as a follow-up email, and a recording for people to go back over the material. So thank you very much to our speakers today, to Rune, Chris, and Ruben, and thank you to Bricsys and Vrex for your support and the amazing content you're providing. Thank you very much for today, and we look forward to seeing the developments of your work in the future.
My pleasure. Thank you for hosting this event.
You're very welcome. Thank you to attendees as well for being on the call today. Goodbye, everyone.